Hi guys,
Hey guys, I'm Michelle.
and I'm Mark, and this is the Mark and Michelle Show. And tonight on the Mark and Michelle Show, or this is Mark and Michelle Show, we are going to talk about what autism is and the symptoms that I healed from, okay? And I hope you guys get a lot out of this because I think this is going to be eye-opening for many people. I mean, autism is called a medical condition. Yeah, that's fine. Usually it's defined by the symptoms, but we're going to talk about the symptoms and we're going to talk about what we think the causes are, at least what the causes were for me. And I'm finding that these are the causes for pretty much anyone else who has autism as well. Marlo, how are you? So let's start with this. Autism is, now, these are the causes in our experience.
And this is what we talked about yesterday.
Exactly. We're going into it in a little more depth. All right. So we'll start with the first one real quick. And if you guys were here last night, you'll remember this. Heavy metal poisoning. Okay. Now, what I mean by heavy metal poisoning is this, in case folks don't know. It is the collection and deposition or depositing of heavy metals for things like gold, silver, or even for autism specifically, mercury, aluminum, or lead in the brain. And medical medium says that these metals are deposited in the corpus callosum, which is the central midline down between the two hemispheres of the brain. Now, I have read numerous articles about heavy metals in the brain, mercury and aluminum being the two biggest culprits. All right. Now, heavy metals in the brain affect how your nerves work, right? Your nerves have electrical impulses, but the heavy metals interfere with those nerve impulses getting through to the other side of a neuron. Now, that's important. I'm not going to go in depth any more than that, but just know that heavy metals interfere with how nerves in the brain work, right? You can have heavy metals in the rest of your body too. Probably the second biggest place is liver. The second is the collection. Okay. The second symptom in our second cause that we found is a stagnant liver. Now, I'm going to be honest. To me, it's not very obvious that your liver can be a cause of. But the more and more I thought about it, the medical medium says this, and I'm going to straightforwardly, I agree. Here's why. Hey, Lee.
And Pamela.
Whoa. Hey, guys. How are y'all? Thanks for joining us. But a stagnant liver is a liver that is either backed up with too many toxins, too much fat, too many pesticides, or other chemicals that your liver specifically is trying to filter out of your body. When a liver gets overburdened with all of those things, viruses and bacteria too, then it slows down its processing of detoxing you. When that happens, it doesn't get it's not getting the toxins out at a rate that is helpful to you. And if it slows down too much, those toxins start getting deposited in other parts of your body. Your organs, mainly, epithelial linings, which are things that line a very thin layer of cells that lines your stomach and your gut and that type of thing. But then it starts damaging those things as well. That's probably another reason why heavy metals get deposited in the brain, is because the liver can't detox them out anymore. So they wind up in the brain instead. All right. Now, I won't go in depth any more than that. Strep and viruses. I want to include these two together because we found last night, you heard some of me say that PANDAS was caused by strep. The medical community at large, what you normally think of as the medical community, doctors and research scientists in medicine and that type of thing, think that something called PANDAS
is strep.
Medical medium, I found out, he says it isn't streptococcus. It is a virus, specifically HHV6. That's the human herpes virus 6. Okay, now I thought, well, that's very interesting. All right. So I started looking up scientific journal articles. And sure enough, from 1995, this is probably before Medical Medium published any of his books, even though he was around still telling people about this. But this article said, surely enough, that the human herpes virus number 6 needs mercury to eat. And so when it does, and you deprive it of mercury, of one of its foods, the HHV6 virus dies off. When it dies, it produces a neurotoxin that starts destroying the nerves in the brain. This article was from 1995, so it's 24 years old. And the researchers in that article used Chinese parsley. Its other name is cilantro, which the medical medium says to use in the heavy metal detox smoothie to get rid of heavy metals. They use cilantro to get the heavy metals out of their test subjects, and it worked. Absolutely fascinating, because the medical medium stuff gets results, but he does annoy me at times with his, oh, science doesn't know this, science that. I still got to have that. So I looked this up, and sure enough, this article, which is 24 years old, completely backed him up. I was like, well, all right then. I thought that was awesome. Now I'll post the article later tonight so you guys can see it, and I'll give a short explanation of it. But it's absolutely fascinating. Cilantro does work to detox heavy metals out of your system, especially in the heavy metal detox smoothie. All right, let's see.
Yeah,
So,
what kind of things happen because of
strep? Well,
because of pandas?
well, pandas, difficult behaviors. For instance, defiant behaviors, uncooperative behaviors, anger, rage. Now, the only reason I say this is because I had pandas and didn't know it until I figured out what pandas was, because I could eat strep or virus, what's the word? Virus feeding foods. There we go. And that would cause bad behaviors in me. And Michelle lived with it.
That's where it gets confusing, though, because the strep foods, the foods he says specifically that feed strep, you would eat them and you would get those bad behaviors.
Right.
So how does
I'm
the
thinking
virus fit in with that?
that the virus and the metals and the strep and the strep foods, those things work together somehow to cause the bad behavior.
Well, he says they're cofactors.
Well, so if they're cofactors, if they, I'd say they're cooperative
They're
at
cooperative,
least.
yes.
So if strep and viruses are cooperative based on what you feed them, in the sense of strep feeding foods and virus feeding foods, somehow they work together to cause those bad behaviors. And what's interesting is Michelle and I have been doing the heavy metal detox smoothie again for about, 2 weeks now?
2 weeks.
About 2 weeks now. And apparently I can eat the strep and virus feeding foods and I don't have the behaviors now.
Right, because you got more metals out.
Right. I apparently got enough of the heavy metals still in my system, like mercury, lead, and aluminum, out so I didn't feed the virus. Well, breaking that ring, so to speak, of strep feeding foods and virus feeding foods, taking out the mercury and the other metals that the virus feeds on, now I've broken the cycle and I don't have the bad behaviors anymore. That's awesome, because that means in kids who have pandas and other bad behaviors related to either strep or viruses, you can get the heavy metals out of your kids and the bad behaviors are gone.
And so I think we don't necessarily know whether it's viruses or strep that are causing the issues, but if you treat both, you're going to take care of it.
Exactly.
You just got to know that that illness is part of autism.
Exactly. Autism is illness. It just is. It's an illness.
I mean, even heavy metals, that's poisoning.
Yeah. And so let's move on to the next one. And we talked about them all, heavy metals.
Gut.
No, let's talk about, there we go, strep virus. Oh, gut damage. You know how I was talking about a little while ago, excuse me, about the liver being backed up with toxins. Well, and I was talking about how your organs start getting damaged because your liver can't process out any of the toxins anymore, so they get deposited in your organs, your gut, your heart, your kidneys, pancreas, adrenal glands, brain. your organs start getting damaged because of metals and other toxins and pesticides and viruses and neurotoxins by viruses dying off. They start damaging your organs. Well, your gut would be one place where it would be damaged. And a lot of people have gut trouble and don't have autism. I mean, I've known people with, I knew a woman with Crohn's disease. She used to work for me. This has been about a little over 20 years ago. And she was always in pain and always in the bathroom. But she didn't have autism. And
she had strep,
yeah, right.
Shingles.
And so her gut was severely damaged. And I know people at work who are sick with Crohn's and ulcerative colitis. Michelle's had issues with that. And so a backed up liver contributes to all of this because it can no longer do its job well enough. And so organ damage, and in this case, gut damage, if you have gut damage, your immune system is damaged as well, because a lot of your immune system is in your gut. And like I said last night, for good reason. Your immune system being located in your gut would be the second line of defense against bacteria and viruses. And if your gut is damaged, your immune system is damaged as well, right? So that kind of brings us back. That's 5 different, I lumped strep and viruses together as a cause, but this is 5 different causes of autism symptoms. And I think, and to me, in my case, and interestingly enough, I recently saw a woman who healed, I guess it was her son or sons from autism, and she discovered the same process that we have, that you have to heal the gut, you have to detox from heavy metals, you have to heal the brain, and you, what was the other one? Well, she didn't say anything about stagnant liver.
What about strep and viruses?
But
Pathogens.
she did talk about healing the attendant infections, which I thought was interesting. I don't know any more details than that, but apparently we came up with this process, which is almost the same, independently of each other. And I haven't talked to her, but I've seen her information, and I think that's fascinating, because if she did that same process and I did that same process, this process is going to work for almost everyone.
And so let's talk about that. Have you started your heavy metal detox smoothie?
Right.
Like we talked about.
The heavy metal detox smoothie is going to be the biggest life changer that you can do.
And the celery juice. But here is Mark's list of things that he has healed.
Right. This is
in the book that I've written.
And
he's going to give you a couple things.
I'll just do a couple. I had to categorize them into 5 different categories, because there was a lot that I healed from.
Yes.
Right.
What are the categories?
The categories. Category 1, social symptoms that I had that I healed from. Category 2, emotional symptoms that I had that I healed from. Category 3, mental symptoms that I had that I healed from. Number 4 is physical symptoms that I healed from. And number 5, communication problems that are now cleared up. All right. I'm just going to give like 3 from each. So let's start with social real quick. Let's do, this is important. And this is one of the biggest symptoms, telltale signs of autism. The inability to read and respond to social situations. Now I don't have that problem.
Do you have an example of how that changed?
Yeah, here's a good example. When I was autistic, and I think this is probably the case with most autistic people with autism, they don't know when others like them. Now, they also don't know when others don't like them, and that's a problem too. Both of those are a problem. But one of my managers, this has been about 4 years ago now, but one of my managers at work, and I had only been on recovery for about 2 years at this point. So this is 2015.
So this is still gaps.
Still gaps. And I happened to come into work one day, and he had his back to me. He was working. I walked up to him. I was probably about 8 feet away, and I said, "Matt!" And all of a sudden, he turns around, and I see his focus immediately concentrate right on me, because he turned in my direction and focused directly on me. It's the first time I ever noticed that. And I realized that he liked me at that point because I saw his face light up too. See, I never noticed that before in anyone until I had been on recovery for 2 years, and I noticed that in Matt. And from then on, I noticed it in everybody, at least people who liked me.
It became better after medical medium.
Oh, it did. And I was able to see things more subtle things on medical medium. Mm-hmm. So that's huge. So let's see. Let's come up with another one. When you're autistic, unfortunately, you're an easy target for bullying, right? And I was, even in my 40s. I'm 50 now, but even in my 40s, even a couple years, 2 or 3 years on recovery, I was still getting bullied by people. But my personality did a 180, and in a good way, because now apparently people could read me and feel me, and that bullying stopped.
Can you give us a story?
Came to a screeching halt. Yeah, good example. Working in the kitchen, there was a guy who really liked to pick at people. And finally, and I had been on recovery for about 2.5, maybe about 2.5 years at this point. No, a little over a year. And that's how quickly this personality change happened, within about a year. And this guy always liked to pick at me. I was an easy target. But this day, he came up to me and he said, "Hey, will you go and take care of something for me?" I said, "You know what? I'm not." I said, "I don't believe you'll actually do it. And I think you just want me to do it so that you don't have to." And he goes, "You don't trust me?" I said, "No, I don't trust you." I said, "I don't believe you." And I just stood there and looked at him, and I turned around and walked off. He was in deep thought for about an hour. And finally he walked up to me and said, "Hey, I'm sorry, man." He said, I just didn't get it. I said, "But you do now, do you? Don't you?" Well,
how long had you had trouble with him before you?
I'd had trouble with him 14. I had trouble with him for about 2 years.
And
about
you
2
finally,
years straight.
You finally woke up enough.
I finally woke up enough from autism to end the bullying from this guy and from anybody else, because people could feel me then.
So that just, if you are an autistic person being bullied, you just aren't going to be able to change that until
until you break your beliefs about I'm unique because I'm autistic. Yeah, you know what? You're still unique even without the autism. And I'll tell you this, if you think autism is a part of you, I got a challenge for you. All right? Do your best to lose your autism and prove me wrong. All right? But when you do, you're going to find that it's worth it, and you'll still have all the same specialness that you had before when you were autistic. I guarantee it, because I still do. All right?
You're even more.
Even more so.
Let's move to the emotional.
All right, let's go emotional. This is important. You folks are going to know exactly what I'm talking about, okay? I have heard so many parents, my autistic son or my autistic daughter, they just lack motivation. All right? I wondered for years, why am I not motivated? Right? You're so inflamed with autism. Your brain is on fire. Your gut is on fire. Your body is just constantly inflamed, right? Lack of motivation has been tied scientifically to inflammation. I posted a scientific article about it, and I even explained it. But when you heal from autism, your motivation will come right on.
But what causes that is heavy metals.
Heavy metals and other toxins and things that are constantly keeping you in an inflamed state. All right, let me move on to one more.
We better move to mental. We're running out of time.
Are we running out of? We're running out of time. Okay. Here you go. Mental. Let's talk about learning, right? Your kids your autistic kids have such a hard time in school learning and picking up what they need to know, right? That's because everything has to be explained to them in excruciating detail. That's not their fault. That's not the teacher's fault. That's not the parent's fault. That's the autism's fault, right? And how I know this is because I was the same way. I had to take class after class after class after class over and over and over again in college. Some classes 7 times, organic chemistry 7 times, calculus 5 times, genetics 3 times, general chemistry 3 times. I finally got frustrated and gave up. But Michelle, being a teacher of autistic kids and adults for more than 20 years, she knows exactly how to teach. And she says, autistic kids, the autistic brain needs excruciating, explicit detail, right? When you heal from autism, that need for explicit, excruciating detail goes away. I now pick up what I need to know just like any other person, right?
That was amazing.
Now, physical. Ooh, let's do this. Gastrointestinal issues and sleep issues, right? You heal your gut, you recover from autism, those gastrointestinal issues will go away. Diarrhea, huge bloating, all that kind of stuff.
A lot of that is strep.
It is. You heal that liver, you control the strep and viral infections. You're going to sleep better, you're going to digest better, you're going to poop better.
Yay.
Right? Pooping is important. And one more. Oh, communication. A lot of this goes along with mental and learning, but explicit communication, same thing as explicit learning. You need to be told in excruciating detail, right? When you recover from autism, you don't need that, right? And when you're autistic, you have an inability to see nonverbal communication. You don't get body language. You don't get high fives. You don't know how to respond
Mark
to it.
couldn't high five.
No, I couldn't do it. I was bad at it. I didn't know what a person was trying to do.
Because he couldn't feel it.
Right? Because I couldn't feel it, because I just wasn't able to assess what was going on. So you recover from autism and all that explicit communication goes away. Implicit communication comes on naturally, all on its own.
Yeah. And
you pick it up, right? I've heard other people say this about their kids. I'm telling you that as an adult, a 50-year-old adult, this all happened to me. It just naturally came on.
Yes, it was very cool.
That is just 10 of possibly 100 symptoms right here, right? And when the book comes out, you'll be able to read this, right, in detail. So anyway.
So the call to action is start the heavy metal detox, do the celery juice. The more plant-based you are, the more quickly you'll heal.
Absolutely.
The less fat you eat, the more quickly you'll heal.
Medical medium gets results. He does. I guarantee it. He just does. No matter what you think, his diet gets results.
And this isn't just about autism.
No, it isn't, because
ADHD, dyslexia,
depression,
bipolar. Then you have all the autoimmune diseases.
Yep.
It has even healed people of terminal cancer.
Yes, it has. Yes, it has. We've seen numerous cases of that, of people saying that on his on different medical medium sites.
And I wanted to say Alzheimer's because that runs in my family.
It does, and it does take care of Alzheimer's. We've seen 2 cases of that. So anyway, call to action is, and you can find the heavy metal detox smoothie and the celery juice recipes, not the genie recipe for celery juice.
Everything is on our page, and we've got the heavy metal detox smoothie recipe pinned to the top.
We'll be back tomorrow night
to talk about
why autism is difficult.
Yes.
All right, see you guys then.
Bye, guys. Good to see you.